Mama V also Abwaje is here. Good morning to you.
Morning.
How was your weekend?
Some way.
Okay.
Some way. I mean, that's how it's been. Yeah, that's how it's been. But on Saturday, you know, Emily Nyako lost her mom.
Yes.
So she was buried on Saturday, and we're family, so we had to go. I think it was a big celebration, and I've never been to a funeral like that before. It was more of a celebration of a life well lived.
How old was the mom?
60s. Or 70, okay. I think I call says 70, 71. Okay, all right, yeah. But it was a beautiful celebration in its own.
May her soul rest in peace.
Absolutely.
Right. So we have to do the reviews. We'll start with the Daily Graphic. Can you start with the Daily Graphic first?
Okay. So front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Delivery at prayer comes causing death of women, babies. Full story. Page 16. Ameri wins Best Emerging Company Award. Very interesting. Mankrado elders not land guards, according to Gomoa Fete chief. NDC flag bearer aspirants petition Rawlings, complain about high filing fee. Publish Brobbey report, President directs Ministry of Information. Back page on wholesome meat products to be destroyed, according to the veterinary service. There's a picture of a dear friend, Dr. Bashiru Boy Kikimoto, on the back page of the paper. Initial test on alleged contaminated blood from cat proves negative. We have done a scientific medical analysis on the said blood, and the initial result proved negative. Details of that on the back page of the paper. Center spread. Adolescents living with HIV to disclose or not is the big question. But the number crunch is 215. The adolescents HIV clinic at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital sees more than 215 HIV positive adolescents. That's huge. So there's a lot more put together. It's a special feature in the center spread of the paper by Rebecca Quay. It's in the center spread. You can check it out. Caregivers, parents are not willing to disclose HIV status to their children because of concerns about the child's ability to understand, parental sense of guilt, and fear of social rejection and stigmatization. And this is also because of AIDS Day. Yeah. All right, Roland?
Yeah. So I do the Ghanaian Times. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, we have the main story, GIJ closed down. We brought you that. Students demonstrate. According to a statement that, again, we'll apprise you of, is indicating that the students can't return to school today to write the examinations, but only in the statement it says that if they are eligible.
If they're eligible, that's if they've duly registered.
Well, most of them say they hadn't registered or hadn't been given access to register because they hadn't paid their fees fully. I mean, it looks like we have a number of them. I won't say majority, but
who have not fully paid.
But they want to write the examination because they are continuing students, or either they'll still come the next semester anyway. So you
there
deny
are those
them.
who say they've paid but have not been able to register because of the
portal,
online
the new
system.
online e-portal that has been undertaken.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
I don't know what the situation has been in the past. Do they insist that you pay full fees before you write the exam? That's also another thing.
I should assume.
I am familiar with the situation where you have to pay 100%.
Yes,
you know, before you write the exam.
Especially some of the top universities, they tend to. We have other stories also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. We have construction of on-dock facility at Takrady Port starts in January. We also have Dagbon Youth March in support of roadmap. President orders Justice Brobbey Commission report to be published. And then we have on the back page, Mukarama grabs Adidas Golden Boot Award. Mukarama, Abdullah Mukarama, is the Ghanaian Golden Boot winner at just the just ended FIFA Under-17 World Cup that took place in Uruguay. Spain were the winners, though. And we also have still on women's football. Nigeria triumphs in 2018 women's AFCON. It was after a penalty shootout.
Goalless, and then they had to. And then it was 4-3, wasn't it? It was so close. I think South Africa came
Yeah, it was close, but
close.
the Nigerian women's team keeps showing that they are the in thing as far as women's football on the continent is.
But they were also, because South Africa had scored them in the group stages. I mean, they couldn't let go.
Yeah. The Nigerians just never give up.
Yeah, that's something we have to learn.
Yes, I love their fighting spirits. Black Queens skipper named in best 11 team. It was one of the companies that we tend to have a certain relation. So I went there. One of their directors came from Nigeria. He said Ghana was too dull.
Yeah, we're slow, eh?
Yeah, he'd been here for only 3 days. He said he was itching to go back to Nigeria. Only that his work schedule had not ended.
We get that a lot.
So Ghana is too dull.
Yeah.
Ghana not dull.
Let's do the finder. You're through?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the finder and then we'll continue with the Daily Dispatch. Front page of the Finder newspaper today. 4 million Ghana Cedi Fund launched to support physically challenged women entrepreneurs. Also report on the creation of new regions out this week, according to Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah, following that directive by the president. Kweku Bako readies for RTI fights. New lab test results on alleged contaminated blood negative. Protest rocks GIJ over no fees, no exams policy. That's what we have on the front page of the Finder newspaper.
Well, let's do the Daily Dispatch newspaper. It has on the front page NDC presidential primaries to cost some 8 million Ghana cedis, as in what you have to pay, allowances and the fees to electoral commission, and even put it together, some feeding costs and venue costs, etc. And we also know this one will be organized in the various regions. So that's a lot of money, if not the various constituencies. It is problematic if NDC hopefuls cannot raise 420,000 Ghana cedis, according to an analyst. And the name of the analyst definitely is in the insider pages of the NDs and the Daily Dispatch newspaper. And well, where's the story? Okay, so we have other stories there. Okay, so so that's coming from Ben Elson. Ben Elson saying that it's problematic if you can raise it. Filing fee for NDC's presidential slot could be 350,000. Is a recall of a story the Daily Dispatch published back in September. And we also have 420,000 Ghana cedis. Filing fees will not breed corruption, according to the NDC. You go to the back page, all the stories are there. Already there's an indication that the Alabi camp, they've started raising some funds. We had a prior e-poster or perhaps a e-flyer by the John Mahama campaign, giving short codes to individuals who want to contest, who want to donate. And there's another one from the Alabi camp, says that to donate to the Professor Alabi campaign, 2020 campaign, they have
and in your constituency, Ashaman, I understand it's a very rich businessman who's also a party chair, who's paying half of
former chair,
who's paying half of it for Mr. Mahama. And there are quite a number of others who are paying 1,000 Ghana cedis each. Let's just okay, so he's gotten his money already.
Wallahi.
But I see names in there, like, you know, I can spot names that can
you mean the message going viral?
Exactly. Is that authentic?
I don't know.
Okay, but at least I see one name at least in there that can simply just pay everything. And I'm wondering why he's donating 1,000 when he could pay
everything,
the entire 420.
Okay.
You know, he can pick up the form and pay the filing fee.
I say, who is that person?
I'm not disclosing.
You're not saying. There are a number of names there. I think over 120 or so. So we'll see how that goes. But basically, those are the stories we have. But the insider stories of the Daily Dispatch have focused on fertility, mortality, and migration in the Ashanti region. But just for the seeking of knowledge, it's also important that you do so. Agalga Nitu will fight over extension of service years for soldiers from 25 to 30. And we have a number of other stories as well. But that'll be it, Mama V.
Let's dig in. Let's talk about some of the stories in the papers. And there's this one on page 16 in the Daily Graphic newspaper. I thought we should spend a bit of time on it. It says the growing phenomenon of pregnant women seeking healthcare at prayer camps is adversely affecting healthcare delivery. The Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Insiasari, has said that was because a number of women continue to lose their lives and their babies at the prayer camps during labor. He said, quote, 9% of women who die from maternal health complications in the northern zone visit prayer camps, while 20% of women who die from maternal health complications in the middle zone visit prayer camps, and 26% of women who die from maternal health complications in the southern zone also visit prayer camps, unquote. So this is northern, middle, and the southern. He's entreated pregnant women to frequently seek early medical care at health centers, since complications associated with pregnancy were not caused by spiritual powers, but were health complications that could be treated medically to ensure safe labor. That's not all. I mean, there's a lot more to the story filed by Mohammed Fugu in Tamale. But when there are health facilities available with medical doctors and health nurses, people will still go to prayer camps even to deliver their babies. Sometimes there are things that you think shouldn't be happening, but they are happening. Where figures that the director gives in the story.
Yes, and I remember we had a discussion on this. I believe it will be this year. We had Dr. Sropenyo. We also had Dr. Vanessa.
This year.
We had that discussion, particularly
Dr. Linda Vanuatu.
Dr. Linda Vanuatu. Oh,
yeah.
Dr. Linda Vanuatu.
You're changing her name.
Dr. Linda Vanuatu.
Yeah.
And for them, it was a critical issue, because people have, I think, already limited access to health facilities. But where, even in some of the demographics of the geographical areas, people have access, these socio-cultural customs and traditions,
religious,
and those myths, as well as the lack of information, has created, or seem to have created, this condition where people, even if they can have access, will tend to some of these traditionalists or even the prayer camps to go and give birth. Now, the concern that they expressed at the time was that by the time that they get to witness the case at the hospital, then they're nearing the terminal stages of the pregnancies, especially for the babies in there, and even sometimes at the critical stages for the women. It's a concern that they thought could be addressed with some form of comprehensive education. But how far can education go? It's a question we have to ask. But even in the form of education that could be undertaken, who are the key stakeholders or the individuals that could be roped in to ensure that they change their mindset? Here lies a case. We have heads of families, traditional leaders or chiefs. We have opinion leaders, even pastors or those heads of those prayer camps, who also need to be brought in to know that God is there. God is available for everybody. But even for the medical person who has had the mindset, the intellect, or the brains to go through medical school, has been given that gift by God. And so is the way the information would be packaged, and also that sort of education that could be undertaken to change the mind. And
the church is not a place to deliver a baby.
Not at all.
That's not that's not the make of the church.
It's a complete lack of information, and the dependence of our mindsets on a form of religion, which has gotten us enslaved to that form of doctrine per the interpretation of the Bible. And I believe we need to change that. We need to change that, because look, when somebody is sick, the pastor is telling the sick person that there's divine healing. Nobody is disputing.
You can have the divine healing in the hospital bed.
Nobody.
That healing could reach you right there.
Why don't you access divine healing as well as normal orthodox or medical healing at the same time? What's wrong with it if you go to the hospital on Friday and you go to church on Sunday to go for healing? There's nothing wrong with that. And
the pastor could even visit you in the hospital and pray for you.
I find it troubling.
But Roland, I think we need the pastors to, because you know,
Yes.
you say education.
They have to be
some people will not listen to anybody else apart
Except
from
the
their pastors.
pastors.
So when
the pastors need to be integral.
I mean, when the person is pregnant, you should be encouraging the person to visit the health facility,
exactly,
as well as come to the hospital.
Exactly.
But that's to the church. Church is not a place. You don't give birth in the church,
especially. And I used to be a Catholic before I did the transition to the charismatic church. So I see the difference. You will not see that in a Catholic church. The Roman father will pray for you, but you will find a Roman father who is a medical doctor.
I think you're talking about Orthodox churches.
Yeah, what did I say?
You said Catholic.
No,
well, which is part of it.
I'm saying that I used to be a Catholic before I became a charismatic person. So the Orthodox and if you look at the way they do the interpretation of the doctrines, it's so different. And the posture and the mindset that they attach to the interpretation of the doctrine, it's very practical and real.
But you guys continue to leave because you say they are too slow, right?
Yes, that's what we said. But you know, when
the miracles don't come as quick.
Anyway.
So now you have it. It's gone out of the roof. But we need people to understand. See, hospital is hospital, church is church.
Yeah. And you know, for the Orthodox churches, so I can understand the Christ or the head of the church is so far away, and this one, you have the head of the church just close by. He's the Papa you are worshiping every Sunday. So
he's not the head of the church. He's the owner of the facility.
Me, I call them the chief executives of the church because it's a business. Now you have so you even find that in many of the cases where people had started the main branches, where we had the chief executive of the church there, who called the overseer, the overlord, or the bishop. Even when they have moved residences and they have new branches in their abode or in their areas, they'll never go to that branch. They'll go to the main branch because they are so used to getting closer to the pulpit where they have the head of the church there. They call him Papa, Bishop, there's all that.
Yeah, man.
I will lie.
Yeah. That's where we are. We've come very far. But listen, we just need the heads of the churches to...
Yeah, they have to be involved.
The heads of the church. To send the message.
Are they willing to be involved?
When somebody is fully pregnant and they've come for, just tell them this is not a delivery room.
It's a conundrum because that head of the church is preaching divine healing. Look,
Master, that healing can reach you wherever you are. It's just faith, man.
Yeah. So let me faith. It's all about faith. So when you have the head of the church or the pastor preaching that he has never been to the hospital. No, but that's real. That's what they preach. They'll tell you that throughout his 30, 40 something years, he's never been to the hospital.
Listen,
so it makes you feel that you, the congregant, you, the member of the church.
My interpretation of that is maybe you haven't been knocked down hard, like you've taken ill. You've been admitted.
You've not had some.
But you can't tell me that you haven't
had malaria. Malaria.
That
mosquito.
I would listen to you if you said that to me in church.
Yeah.
But I won't believe you.
Okay.
I would just think that
and that's what many of us are doing because we're hearing all that. We know that the gentleman is saying
your tummy will run once in a while. You have a headache once in a while. You will have in Ghana we did. This is Africa. You have malaria once in a while.
Have you noticed most of the time when you go to some of the churches and you know, people dance and all that. And they said that through this dancing, you've been healed. Then they said, when I was coming to church, I had this pain in the armpits. Now it's gone. You've never been exercising.
Disbelief, Roland. That could be true.
if you don't exercise, no, we have serious cases. You you're diagnosed with some cancer, you go to TB Joshua, I heal you. That's healing. Man, that's healing.
What are you saying? Okay, move on. Let's talk about NDC a bit, and then we'll go to
I wanted us to talk about the HIV before we get to
the let's do.
Yes, and
what I was sharing a bit earlier, the center spread. Yeah. Okay, all right. This is a whole feature.
And it's related to adults or adolescents.
But this is one that like you have to sit down and read.
Yes, I did some. I took a sneak peek at some of the contents or the paragraphs in there, and. We just marked World AIDS Day. Was it on Friday? Or no, or Saturday? Saturday.
1st December, yeah?
Yes, Saturday. And if you take a look at the numbers of the young population that are getting infected across our country, and if you just oppose that to the demographics in terms of what the the statistics are from the statistical service per what the population is for our country, in terms of the young people who are between the ages of 35 or 40, then you get to know that we're in a serious crisis. Because, you know, the communication to mark World AIDS Day in Ghana is that many young people within that bracket seem to think less of how dangerous it is to not protect yourself, and so, or even live risky lives, sexual lives especially. And I think that's troubling. You know, back in the early 2000s, late 2000s,
early 2000s,
late 90s,
early
and
2000s.
the early 2000s.
Yeah.
There was this one, they did a Stop AIDS Love Life campaign. Of course, I was part of it, so I did some promo and all that. I think they had money, so the funding was there. They did a lot of activations, etc. So the communication was there. People were more aware about what they needed to do. They needed to do voluntary testing and counseling, etc. But now it's not there. Young people seem to think that it's okay. And I've had some communication with some young people. They'll be in the ages of 24, 25, and these are young girls, young women, 22, and I ask them, and they tend to relate their sexual life to be non-risky, even though they tend to jump from one partner to the other. Of course, they are not married, they are not committed, so that's okay. But you just having or living sexual lives in such a risky way without using any form of protection, more so not taking cognizance of the fact that it is dangerous to be living that life, I found it a bit troubling. And this one is not a conversation I've had with only one or two. I've had with a couple of young people, and they seem to think,
I think you're living free.
oh, me crying, hey, what you saying? It's dangerous.
So are you thinking it's because that campaign is not in your face like it used to be?
Yeah, because there's nothing reminding you that you need to do this.
But we couldn't sustain that. That was also very expensive. Remember that a lot of people have cut funding. I mean, we're not where we used to be back then. We've moved on. We're developing, and we've come very far.
That's where, as a country, we're failing. Because if we look at the health bill for a highly infected HIV population as against the health bill of a non-highly infected HIV population, in relation to the campaign that would have been undertaken and the money that would have been spent, I think that the preventive is less expensive.
But we need individuals, we need the citizens to also be responsible for what they do.
Yes, but they need reminders. We're human beings, and we tend to
I agree. But you
relapse.
see, there are people who also said in the past that we talked about HIV so much, we left the other areas.
Yes.
People would say that
because back in the day, true.
Yeah.
But back in the day, you know, HIV, they used lean people to represent people who are HIV.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah,
because of the
because we know that you can have HIV, you can have the virus and live,
or ARVs,
you know, and have a full life,
so to speak.
Yeah.
So anybody could be infected, and you live normal.
We need people to, as individuals, be responsible.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's also part of the.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a trend. You're paying the filing fee for who? I didn't get you.
There's a trend about pediatrics AIDS prevention, but you can read the feature on the center spread of the paper. We have to move on, and this is myjoyonline.com. Real quick, Roland.
Okay.
Okay, on our page, Accra Tour, Ekufuado to commission, inspect over 10 major projects. Let's leave 2016 politics behind and unite for development, according to Anthony Cabo. 8 NDC flag bearer aspirant boycott filing process over quote-unquote unreasonable fees. Abudus and Andani's Walk for Peace. Government introduces programs to boost capacity of Zongo food sellers and youth. Some 1,200 food sellers or food makers in the inner cities and Zongo communities would get the prospect to boost their capacities as the sector ministry signs 2 MOUs to that effect. You know, a lot of us don't want anything to change with where we buy the wache and how the wache is made. I don't know. They shouldn't make it too sophisticated. Some of us like it that way. GIJ students locked out of campus amid students' unrest. This was on Saturday, but following that, we know that the institution has issued a statement, and they are back on track, writing the exams today.
Yes.
Yeah. Back from demo retirement, Baku ready for RTI fight. Charlie, all hands on deck. They said they'll pass it before they rise. That was the speaker. We have to take the speaker's word. That's the Speaker of Parliament. He's
before they rise,
Reverend,
December.
Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, Reverend Professor Michael Quay. He said it. We didn't. We're just reminding him. We're watching. Controversial cat blood test negative of HIV.
So what did they test the
syphilis?
first samples?
Not sure. It will be in the story. That's it. That's our page, myjoyonline.com, right there for you. Yeah. Oh, and Joy FM's Latif Idrisu wins mining reporter of the year. This was last Saturday at the Labadi Beach Hotel. I was there because I hosted the event. This was the Chamber of Mines is also 90 years. So this was their fourth mining awards to coincide with their 90th celebrations. And the special guests was the Governor of the Bank of Ghana.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a huge event. And Latif was the mining reporter. Wow. So congratulations to our own Latif.
Was it a special award or?
No, so this
has it always been a category of awards, or
not
this one
always
was made?
Always no, this but this is, so what they're doing is basically also expanding the categories in the
so this year they added the mining award.
It was two of them. There was one, yeah, they added the mining reporter category.
So when would they do the next awards?
Next year. They do it annually.
So would they award mining report? I'm asking because I
think they will. So they awarded one from City FM and then Latif Idris.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm asking, next year, would there be a category for mining?
There will. I think so, there will.
So how would they encourage media houses to be encouraging or assigning reporters to be mining reporters?
How will they do that?
Yeah, because this one seems to have been an initiative that the media undertook because of the government intention or policy to clamp down on galamsey. So we had the agency and to
report on mining activities.
But usually we wouldn't go.
Well, I think the thing is, the
category is a one-off.
No, it's not a one-off. I know it's come to stay, but here's the thing: we don't do stories because of. We don't do stories for awards. That's not what we do. We tell the stories, and then when there are openings, we file. That's it. You don't do it with the mindset that you're doing it for an award. But I absolutely get you. Let me tell you one other thing that they did. Since you're asking me so many questions as if I work with the Chamber of Mines, let me answer.
No, you were
so there. They did this competition for school children in the mining communities, and they give them. They were awarded as well. The students that came. First runner-up, second runner-up, winner in the essay competitions in the various communities. There's no mining community in Accra, so Accra wasn't part of it. So these are like real in the exact mining communities. I think it was a beautiful ceremony. The question you're asking, please go to the chamber and go ask. We're done. Are we done?
Yeah, but I think one thing that the chamber also did was to go and do the assessment of the ridge encampments that had been encroached as a result of sun winning and mining stones or breaking stones, or the quarries, etc.
I tell you what, maybe you should have a mining conversation with the chamber on the show sometime.
Yeah,
I think
you should do that booking.
Stay with us. We've got sports coming your way. It's Benedict and Sel with all the sporting activities over the weekend. Roland, stop distracting. All the sporting activities over the weekend, including the Women Africa Cup of Nations.
But I need to say something.
Please go ahead.
My friend, the pharmacist, the Boku Presbyterian Hospital pharmacist, Salifu Combat, was met with a tragedy the last week. Yeah. Lost the last born. It was a tragic period for all of us who were close to the family, and I want to say that my sympathies goes to Salifu Combat, as well as your wife Floran and the rest of the family for that sad incident the last week. But God has His reasons. Yeah. Enjoy the morning. I know there's something to enjoy, but we have to look forward to hope. Good morning to you.